Good evening, guys, and happy Thursday to all of our sunshiny faces. Oh my goodness, guys, we're getting so close to Christmas. Like tomorrow's really the last day we have where like we don't have anything that is like set in stone going on that we have to do, because we don't have any plans or anything like that. Then on Saturday I was telling you guys how we were celebrating Christmas with like extended family the day before Christmas Eve, so that's on Saturday. And then on Sunday we've got Christmas Eve. I think we're going to a Christmas Eve church service. We're also doing like Christmas Eve dinner and all of our kind of Christmas Eve traditions. Normally we open like one Christmas present on Christmas Eve, and I'm trying to think. I mean, that's kind of what we do Christmas Eve. We don't do too much else. It's like Christmas Eve dinner, which is normally like our big dinner. Like a lot of people like Christmas Day is like the big like Christmas dinner kind of thing. Ours is always Christmas Eve. Also because I think I was telling you guys in yesterday's vlog how a lot of times when like we were little, I was telling you guys how, I don't know if it was yesterday or like one of the vlogs recently this past week, that like I used to get so upset because I would always get sick on like Christmas Eve or like Christmas Day, and I was never able to go over to one of my aunt's house who would always do like a Christmas Day kind of party. But when like she used to host it kind of like at her old house, she would do like appetizers. It was kind of just like a come and stop in at your own time kind of thing. And so she would always do appetizers, and so I guess that's kind of where my mom got like our tradition to do appetizers all day on Christmas Day. So like again, to the most of the time since we've kind of been like, I don't know, since I've been at least like late elementary school years on, maybe like around middle school age, like we've pretty much always done that, where a lot of times like Christmas Day we don't really do a dinner. Like, well, we might have leftovers from like Christmas Eve, but most of the time it's just like appetizers like all day kind of. So we'll do things like meatballs and like again too maybe different types of like pigs in a blanket and like other like appetizer kind of like meal snacky kind of things, I guess. But it was never like a sit down like a turkey dinner or a ham dinner or something like that, like for Christmas Day. It was always just kind of like appetizers. So that's why again our Christmas Eve is normally like our big like holiday meal kind of thing. And also too, I got that turkey breast that I got like I think 2 months ago, maybe 2-3 months ago. I ended up getting that turkey breast for like a really good sale at Jewel, and I've had it in the freezer, and at first I thought we might use it for Thanksgiving, but we didn't end up using it. We got a full turkey, so I was like, why don't we do turkey breast then for like Christmas Eve dinner? And so that's what we're gonna do, and we're also gonna do like vegetarian lasagna also. Plus I think we've got like a couple other like side dish kind of things too, like I think mashed potatoes and maybe mac and cheese as well, because like I didn't necessarily want mac and cheese because I was like, I'd rather have like lasagna. Like vegetable lasagna sounds really good, like because there's a lot more substance. I don't want to say substance to it, but like because I'll eat mac and cheese, and I eat mac and cheese a lot for like just for dinner and stuff like that. You know, like I make homemade mac and cheese or whatever, but I just like lasagna, like vegetarian lasagna with like vegetables in it, like an Alfredo sauce, and that just sounds like really good to me. And like, you know, because there's vegetables in it, it just seems more like hearty kind of, I guess, than just like mac and cheese. Jack we normally would always, I think I told you guys too, we would do Boston Market for Christmas Eve dinner. And so there was a couple of years where like I remember too, it would be like after we do like church service or whatever, it was really hard to like make food afterwards, and so we'd end up doing Boston Market for dinner. And we did that like I think a couple years, like maybe when I was around like again to late elementary school, middle school kind of aged. But for Jack, I feel like it's probably been most of his life, because that's when he probably remembers like most of it, because age wise we're, you know, 10 years apart. So like where I'm thinking like we didn't used to always do that. Like I don't really remember what we would do on Christmas Eve like when I was really little, because my grandparents used to come over like on Christmas Eve. They would come for like a Christmas Eve service, and then they would come over to our house afterwards, and they would normally like, I think I want to say that's how we did it a lot of times. I don't, like I said, I was little, so I barely remember that, but I do remember going to church a lot of times with them, and then we would go afterwards, like, you know, it'd be afterwards on Christmas Eve, and they would like come over. And so, and like sometimes I want to say they might have stayed over like to Christmas morning, like one year I thought, or something like that. But anyways, so like that, I don't really remember then what my mom used to do for dinner, like when I was little, because we didn't do Boston Market when I was real little. It turned into more of a like middle school kind of thing, and it was again too maybe because it was just kind of tough and difficult. We didn't really do like a Christmas Eve dinner. So like I said, I don't know, it's weird because I don't remember like doing anything real fancy ever for like that. But then again too, like I was telling you guys, normally on Christmas Day we would go over to my aunt's house, and it was just like an appetizer all day kind of thing. So like we a lot of times too didn't do a lot of like a big fancy like Christmas Day, Christmas Eve kind of dinner up until like more recent years. And then again too, it was Boston Market, but then some years it was other things, like some years we would actually make dinner. It's kind of always been different, but I feel like our normal focus is Christmas Eve is the bigger dinner that we do, and then we don't do a lot like on Christmas Day. But again too, I do remember, I want to say maybe a couple of years when I was younger, like when I was probably real little, maybe my mom did like a bigger Christmas Day dinner. But like I said, I can't really tell you off the top of my head. It's always changed every year kind of, but especially like I said, recent years it's been more of a Christmas Eve that we do a bigger meal. And then Christmas Day, because like I said, we would go over to my aunt's house. So that's why a lot of times we didn't end up cooking. And I remember going over to her house when I wasn't sick a lot of times. Maybe that's the other thing too. I don't remember what we ate a lot of times because I probably couldn't eat anything because I always got a stomach bug on like Christmas Eve. And so I don't like, and probably had no appetite. So maybe that's why I don't remember what we ever ate like when I was little, because it was year after year. I constantly remember always being sick on Christmas Eve. Like we would go to church, I would come home and I would be sick. Like, so no clue. Like, so maybe I had no appetite and that's why I can't remember what we would eat or anything. But anyways, I completely lost track of what I was saying. To what I was saying about the mac and cheese. So the Boston markets around in our area have closed, and like Jack is really upset that they you know, like we're not going to get the dinners that we normally do, because I have done a make it home like Boston market like copycat recipes, like the meatloaf, and done like the mac and cheese, mashed potato, well, the new potatoes, garlic new potatoes, like the apples, cinnamon apples, like that kind of stuff. I've done that in the past. It was almost more difficult, I feel like, than Thanksgiving dinner. I don't really want to do that again, because there's a lot like specific recipes, whereas like I know how I make my mashed potatoes and my mac and cheese that I do for like Thanksgiving dinner. So those are a little bit easier, I think, to me, whereas like this was just very recipe specific, and I had to make sure I was following everything so perfectly. And like, you know, I don't know, like when I make mashed potatoes, I don't have to think about it. I just know what I need and I make my mashed potatoes. And like the same thing with the mac and cheese, I don't have to think about it. I just know what I need to make for the mac and cheese. But like when it comes to like this recipe, it was very like, I need this ingredient, I need that, and you know, like you have to measure everything out and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't want to say I eyeball my spices and seasonings and stuff like that, but I kind of do. You know, I mean, it'll taste good. It's not, you know, but I'm not like, I know based on how much mashed potatoes I made, how much really I'm going to need of an ingredient or whatever. Like if I'm using a whole bag of potatoes to make mashed potatoes, but I normally use a brick of cream cheese and like I think 8-ounce package of sour cream. Maybe it's 16 ounces, I can't remember. I would have to double check that recipe, but like it's kind of like I said, I pretty much know what the recipe is, and then I just kind of again eyeball the spices and seasonings and taste it and see if it tastes good, and then I'm like, oh nope, needs a little bit more of that. So like I said, when it comes to those things, I normally am kind of just, you know, like I said, not super specific about it, but because I'd never made those recipes, it was just, it seemed very like specific. Like I had to make sure I had the right ingredients, and I had to make sure that I used the right seasonings and spices or whatever and stuff like that to get it to taste like obviously it's supposed to from the restaurant. Whereas, you know, my own homemade mashed potatoes are supposed to taste like the way I want them to taste. So anyways, Jack though is very upset that this place closed down, so he really wants their macaroni and cheese, and so my mom is going to make their specific mac and cheese like copycat recipe. That is why we are doing 2 noodle dinner type things. One is a side dish and one is kind of the secondary main course. Like the lasagna will kind of be like the secondary main course, but then the turkey breast will kind of be the main, you know, like meat. So that's what we're doing on Christmas Eve. Then Christmas Day, we're doing Christmas presents in the morning and Christmas breakfast. And then after that, we are going to go to my aunt's house, who I told you guys normally does the appetizer stuff. She is not doing the appetizer stuff though this year. She's actually doing a sit down dinner. So it's a little bit later in the afternoon because I think it's like a late lunch or early dinner or something around there, I think. So we'll be at her house like in the evening, and then we're coming back and that'll probably be it. I think we have a couple plans to do like maybe some appetizer type things like later in the afternoon, but again too, it depends on like how much we kind of fill up from the like dinner at her house to whether or not we're actually gonna have any of the, you know, like I said, appetizer stuff. But even too, the next day, because like everybody's normally home, my dad, like he has off the week from Christmas, so like next week, tomorrow's his last day of work until the new year, so he's actually off until like New Year's, like I think the day after New Year's Day, he's taking off. So I don't know what day that is. So that's Monday is New Year's Day. I think he's taking off until Tuesday, or he's going back to work on, no, yeah, I think he's going back to work on Wednesday. So he has like a full like week off of work in between that time. So like, but like the day like after Christmas too, we kind of just do like appetizers all day, and you know, kind of the same thing that we do on Christmas Day anyway. A lot of times just end up kind of reusing whatever appetizers we made and we didn't finish, or like sometimes we might get like extras of something or whatever. Like if we're doing pigs in a blanket, we'll get like extras of that and then do it for the following day also. This is normally kind of just like a rollover of the previous day, and because like I said, we're doing my aunt's on Christmas Day, we'll probably have a lot of the stuff that we have planned left over for Monday then. But then on top of that too, we just leftovers. Like we make so much food. Like Thanksgiving, I was eating mac and cheese and mashed potatoes, which is why I'm kind of sick of mac and cheese, and I never thought I'd say that, but I was eating mac and cheese for like the entire week after Thanksgiving. I am done with mac and cheese until like next Thanksgiving. Honestly, I don't want any more mac and cheese, but Jack is very, very specific about having this Boston Market mac and cheese that he wants so badly. So like I said, that is why my mom is like, it's okay, we'll still make the Boston Market mac and cheese. And I was like, but we're doing like lasagna for like dinner on like, you know, Christmas Eve. I was like, isn't that weird? We're doing like 2 noodle sides, you know, but like I said, it's for Jack. That's what Jack wants. You know, and I don't think that, I don't want to say I don't think, but I'm not necessarily sure how much Jack actually likes lasagna and like veggie lasagna, so he probably wouldn't really eat that possibly anyway. But I know he'll eat the ham or the turkey, which like I said is really lucky because I think it's over a 6-pound turkey breast, which is good. And that'll, like I said, be enough for everybody to be able to eat, plus the lasagna, you know, is like the secondary kind of main dish. And I can eat that too, which I'm really happy about, because again too, like on Thanksgiving we never end up doing anything like that because it has to be very like, you know, very strict kind of I don't want to say strict, but very, you know, traditional Thanksgiving food that we have on Thanksgiving. Whereas I like Christmas Eve for Christmas Eve dinners because it can be a little bit more lenient. We can be like, oh, do we want to have this? Do we not want to have this? And again too, normally we do Boston Market. That's just one thing that Jack really likes, has always been Boston Market. And I think he just likes the tradition of like us going there and like, you know, going and picking up the food and stuff like that on like Christmas Eve. And so, but it's weird though, because like I remember, I want to say like during 2020, that Christmas, like the year of lockdown, although I think we were out of lockdown at that point, we did end up getting like Caputo's had like a like take home and make meal yourself, or I think it was like a turkey or a ham or something like that, and like, you know, you just had to like recook it or something like that, where it was like a partially cooked, you know, like whatever type of meat we got, and then it had like a bunch of the side dishes, and then you just kind of like reheated them and stuff like that. But it was all like fresh made, you know, from their catering section of the store that they have, because they have catering at Caputo's. So I think that's what it was. And so we could have honestly probably done something like that sort of this year, but you know, I think this is just, again, because there's no more Boston Market now, it's like, well, we will never be able to do that for Christmas Eve again. So Jack just wants to know that we can keep the tradition alive, I think. But like I said, every single year it's kind of been something different. Like I was saying, one year we ended up doing that. Like, you know, I know there was 2 years where I ended up, one year I did a ham. There was another year where we did the Boston Market at home kind of thing. So like I said, it's always been something different kind of every year. It's funny, I'd have to go back and check some of the old vlogs to figure out what we did for Christmas Eve a lot of the times. Again, too, Christmas Day was always just appetizers. That's what we'll do. So, but like I said, it's just a little different this year because we are going over to my aunt's house. But again, too, Friday, tomorrow is kind of the last day where there's no official anything necessarily going on that we have, you know, like I said, kind of set in stone as far as like plans and traditions and stuff like that. So anyways, I will see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog, though. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye, guys.